Hello friends, I'm going to show you today a little demonstration of using gouache. Remember that's gouache, sort of like a G in the word wash put together. There's a lot of things you need to do to have a successful time painting. I would say one of the most important things is to put on some music. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of music, you put on something you like. The reason you want the music is you're hoping to just be in the moment of working on the painting and not slipping into that mode where you're judging what you're doing. It's very easy when we're doing something for our mind, our brain to kind of talk back at us endlessly. And you might put a line down on a piece of paper or a bit of paint, and you might have that your voice saying something to you. You have voice in your head, your mind saying, oh, that doesn't look very good. Boy, sure to put that on screwy. It would be better if that was straight. And oh, that color, are you sure? Kind of thick, kind of thin. You're really not doing this very well, are you? Maybe you shouldn't even be in this class. Now, you can see you don't want a voice like that talking at you when you're trying to do something. So if you play music, you give that word part, that verbal part of your mind, something to sort of follow along with, to listen to do, while your other part of your mind is busy trying to do something. Your chatterbox mind will be listening to music, maybe humming along, and that'll be great. You want them to take a little vacation while you're trying to do something like this. So play some music, then you got to assemble a few more things. And I'm going to show you what those are. I have a whole bunch of red hot brand new technology here. Something called an Elmo camera, which I like to call the Tickle Me Elmo. Anyway, I've got this great camera, and it has it's going to show the tabletop, or I'm going to show you the paint, and I can, through the magic of a new program that I got. I mean, we're talking about a lot of technology here. I can change to the view of the Elmo cam. And there it is. It's upside down though. We'll turn it this way. I wanted to talk right away about this. Did you, and I'm going to put on a little light this thing has. I think that'll make it a little better. If you get, this came in the, this thing came in the box of paints. This is so funny. This is purely for comedy, right? Otherwise, have a little laugh at the idea that you could follow these instructions and make a great painting like this one, and then throw that away. Don't even look at it. Okay. Now, what else do you need? You've got your music on. What do you need next? You're going to need some paper to paint on, something to hold the paint on, a palette. You're going to need some brushes. You're going to need paint, and you're going to need water, because this stuff is water soluble. I see there's like some crud floating in my water, but we won't worry about that. You're also going to want paper towels or rags, because that'll make changing the colors and cleaning out your brushes much easier. My water is, I like to have two, so I don't have to get up every couple of seconds and change the water out. But these are kind of shallow, like this isn't going to hold the brush up in it very well. Well, that one's okay, but these really long ones aren't going to work. So I should have gotten something a little deeper. Again, I love to show you what you shouldn't do, huh? All right, let's look at this. Let's move this stuff out of the way. The brushes, I mean. And let's talk about the palette. You can get things like this, a paper palette, which is disposable. It's kind of like a glassine paper, and you wouldn't use it just one time. You'd use it many times, but after a while it would get just sort of too mucked up, and you would throw it away. So it's disposable and not quite as environmentally responsible as a piece of glass or a plastic plate or a metal tray that's white. Anything that's white. When you have a piece of glass, you have to be careful that you have something that has finished edges so you don't get cut by the glass, and you have to put paper behind it, some white paper. And even though I have the white paper back there, it does have a little bit of a green cast to it because the glass is kind of thick. But just put some scrap paper behind there, because you want white behind the paint that you're mixing. If you go to get a palette and you want to use an old plate from your kitchen, don't use a pink one or a blue one. It needs to be a white plate. Okay, so then let's talk about these colors again. Remember, I've been going on and on about these ones I don't want you to use, and you're probably thinking, well, what did I put them in there for? Why did we get a set that we can't use the colors of? And it's not that I will let you use these later. I mean, I will let you use these later. Just for now, take these ones and sort of push them away. Take the black, the dark brown, the sort of medium, I think it's a sepia. Yeah, these all have, I love the color names. The yellow ochre, I mean, I think it's called yellow ochre, yes. That is an earth pigment, and you can really tell, right? It really looks like dirt, that color. I love that color. Then there is deep green. Set that aside also because we want to make our own colors. We're going to make our own colors with those later. So, okay, what next? Keep your white handy. Let's put some out. We're going to use both yellows and both reds. Oh, and what are we doing? I haven't even explained. What we're trying to do is make a 12-step color wheel, and that looks like this. Hold on. It doesn't need to be this exact size. This is a template that I have and I like, but I want something that's essentially got 12 spaces. And if they're little pie wedges, that's nice, but if you just put them in a grid, I can live with that too. However you want to get them into a circle, but yeah, let's make them a circle, I guess. I'm trying to decide. Try to put them in some kind of circle. I'm not going to be real fussy about how I want them in a particular position, but I don't really mind if there's a little gap in between there. A lot of times in color theory or design classes, there's a lot of emphasis put on sort of really fussy details of craftsmanship. And I want you to work on craftsmanship, but I'm not expecting you to be great at it on the very first project. And I also recognize that many people, that's not their bag, you know? And I don't think that loving to use rubber cement and an X-Acto knife is an indicator of your artistic success, if that makes sense, or your creative success, or your creative enjoyment either. So you're going to find that I'm sort of like, do a pretty good job, you know, try your best, but don't fret when inevitably there's some little gap or something. Okay, you're going to know what kind of artist you are. You're going to know what your aptitude is for that kind of fussy detail, and I think I trust you to choose yourself on what you want to do with that. And if that doesn't make sense right now, don't worry. I will repeat and talk again about this issue of I guess craftsmanship, we'll call it for lack of a better phrase. Anyway, I'm going to make mine look like this. And I want 12 different colors, and I'm going to show you what they are. Now, a lot of you are going to wonder, well, how do I know what colors to make them? And I submit to you that you will be able to make them correctly. But if you are struggling or hesitant or worried, you can look online at a 12-step color wheel and it will show you the colors. You can also buy one, and that's like a little tiny cardboard thing. That's kind of nice to have, but don't buy it unless you're into it. You know what I mean? So the reason I want this here is that I'm not going to paint directly onto this. This is just a template. It's just a piece of printer paper with this thing printed out on it. I don't want to paint directly on that because paint won't lie down very well on this paper. It'll buckle a lot. What I want to do is make a swatch of paint, make several swatches actually, and then pick which one fits best into my color wheel later. And I know that I want, because this is maybe 1.5 inches, well, almost 2 inches back here, and 1.5 inches or 1 3/4 here and here. I want to make a square of paint that's about 2 inches square. So let's do, now why did I tell you all about that? Because I wanted to tell you that you don't have to do all the colors at once. You could say, all right, I'm going to deal with the yellow range first, let's say. And what do I mean by that? Well, on your color clock, you have, and I can actually just write it right on here, I suppose. What we have is, let's put yellow here at the top. I think there's sort of an official color that goes at the top, but I don't know which one. So that's going to be red that's going to be there, right? And then we're going to go, I inevitably build these backwards. I think they, well, I don't mind. You know, you can put the red orange on either side of the red. I'm going to put it to the right of it. Who knows why? And I'm just going to use an abbreviation, RO, for red orange, okay? Then that's going to be O for orange, right? And then it's going to be orange yellow or yellow orange. And then it's going to be yellow. Can you see this? I don't know if I'm putting it. There we go. This is going to be then yellow green, right? That's going to be green. And you know you've done it right because red and green are complements. If you end up with green off a little bit where it doesn't line up with red, you have to go back and do it again. Okay, green. Next is blue-green or BG. Then we'll have blue. Then you have blue-violet. Then violet and purple. I use those words interchangeably here. Violet is the official one, right? So blue-violet, then you would have violet, and then you would have red-violet. Okay, so that's it. That's what I want for all of those. I'm done. No, there's actually no color there. I'm not done at all. I'm going to work on, I said I was going to work on yellow. Let's work on yellow. What am I trying to do when I'm making a yellow? I'm trying to get the yellow that says yellow. I want it to look the most yellow that I can get it to look. So let's put a little, I'm going to put both colors out because I don't know what they look like. This doesn't tell me much, right? I need to see what the goo inside looks like. And that is the, they're calling it light yellow, but that's the sort of darker of the two and the more warm color, right? Okay. And this one is going to be a greeny yellow, like a lemon yellow. So you can see that. And I think they call it lemon yellow. Yeah. Now, I think I'm going to want, I might want white, I might not. Some colors have a lot of white in them to start with. Yellow tends to be one of those ones. Blues, greens, and reds sometimes need more white put in them. I'm going to mix them a little of each and just see what I get. And you'll remember that I wanted you to use this palette knife because if you use your brush to mix, you're sort of getting a lot of paint up into the top here, up in the ferrule, and it'll sort of keep watering out. In fact, I should just show you what I'm talking about. Watering out. Okay, watch what I did there. If you know nothing about painting, watch this. If you know, I'm sorry, you have to listen to it again. You want to get your brush wet before you put it into the paint. That's because it'll be much easier later to clean it because you're getting water up into the ferrule up there. But you don't want it drippy like this. This is going to make a watery mess out of the paint consistency. So you have to take that rag and kind of dry it off and get it pretty dry. You know, at this point, it should just be kind of damp. All right. But so if I were to use my brush to mix this, and this isn't going to show it well, but that's all right. I'll show it anyway. A lot of the material is mixed into the, is wasted up into the brush. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show you the way I want to on this because it's not the right color for demonstrating this. We'll have to hold off on that. I'll get back to this idea on a different color. Don't worry, I won't forget. So when I added that yellow green to this yellow, I thought it looked way too green. Whether it looks like that to you on this monitor or on my screen, I don't know, but don't worry about it. So I think I actually kind of do just want to use pretty much straight yellow from the tube. And of course, you know, I'm never going to want you to do that again. No, anytime you're making something creative, in this case, we're trying to learn to mix particular colors, right? We're following instructions sort of in a way. But when you're making something, I want you to mix colors much more intuitively, much more like, yeah, that's too something. I'm going to add a little something else, okay? I won't want you to just use them right out of the tube. So I've gotten this wet, and I'm going to get this paint on here, and I think that's not, I want a little bit of water in it. But see, now it's too much. And this is going to be the way it goes, right? You'll get it on there. And what do I mean by too much? I'm going to show you. See, if it's puddling and bubbling, it's too wet. You want a consistency that's kind of, I don't know, just right. You want it all Goldilocks. You don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. Okay. Let's see. It should be decent when it comes out of the tube, but that's not true with all brands and it's not true with all colors. You'll find they're different. Okay, so there we go. That's about right. It should lie down in a real flat easy way. It shouldn't be hard to spread it out into a nice even coat. And I said 2 inches, didn't I? Oh, there's a good example of too thick. If it's dragging a lot, when you put down your paint, your brush is dragging a lot like that and skipping spaces and leaving holes, then you know you need a little more water in it often, okay? Why am I on that square when really I was going to finish this one? Okay, because I'm trying to talk and chew gum at the same time. It shouldn't be too hard to move it around. If you find it's dragging a lot, that's called scumbling in oil paint, when it like lets the color or the paper below show. And I'm using a really weird textured paper here, so that's sort of combine. It's kind of making my problem a bigger problem. Compounding, that's the word. It's compounding my issues, my problems. Okay, that's a decent size square. That should fit in here later. So I'm going to make these color squares on pieces of Bristol board. That's what this should be in your case. And then I'm going to cut these squares out later. Why? Because trying to paint up against another color with a nice clean line is actually hard. What you want to do is make that easy, and so just cut it, okay? That way you can put your two edges, the two cut edges, really right up against each other. So much of what we talk about in color is just about the interaction of color, the way one color next to another one is kind of affecting it. And we won't be doing this kind of swatch work forever. We'll do swatches, that's what I'm calling these little paper things, these little pieces of color on paper. We'll do them for a little while, and then we'll move on to things that are a little less, well, maybe a little less elementary, I guess, is what I'm thinking of. Now that one is considerably thinner, and I don't know whether you'll be able to tell, but when I'm looking at it, I can see a lot more white coming through, and it doesn't look as good to me. Let's leave that one alone for a second and try to make, let's make red-orange, right? Okay, big question. I want to make orange. I know you're ready for this. Which one of these reds should I use? I'm going to put them both out on the palette and then let you see them. And I think you'll be able to tell almost immediately. This is what they're calling scarlet. Oh, and you know, do you see what just happened there? A big bubble and a bunch of the binder, the medium that's holding the pigment squirted out, and not much pigment. That's going to happen, and don't worry about it. Just squirt some more out until you get the paint. Now, if you get way too much paint out, which happens to me all the time, like that's probably more than I wanted, you could just let it dry on here and re-wet it. By that I mean, once this chunk of red is dry, it's like a watercolor in a pan. If I bring some water over to it with a brush, it will rehydrate. I think that's the more official word. Okay, and this is going to be what they're calling deep rose. Okay, which looks pretty pink. There's a lot of white in that. If we had a more expensive box of paint, it probably wouldn't have as much white in it. Set of paints, I should say. What am I going to do? I want to make orange. Let's make it with both colors because that's even better, don't you think? So we're going to need more of this yellow. And again, I'm making orange, so I picked this warmer yellow. That's a hint about the reds. I didn't pick lemon yellow. I'm using the sort of egg yolk yellow. What am I going to do to make orange with this? Let's put a little there and a little here, and we'll make it with both. Now, this is just like your brush, this palette. Once it's got paint on it, you're contaminating everything with it. So you'll probably often need to clean it too and wash it off a little. Like get it wet, wipe it off with the rag or the paper towel. Okay, and then you should be fine. All right, let's take this color, the cool red, and see if we can make orange with it. Okay. Now, we'll try the other one. And you can't tell really as well as you might like to what that's going to look like on paper. So I'm going to put some on paper with a brush. Ooh, it's really wet, but that's okay. Well, it's more orange than I would have thought. See how wet that is? With all that light showing through, all that paper, way too wet. Don't do it like that. Okay. Let's try now with this red. And have I given you long enough to think about this, about which is the right one? It should be this red. It should be this darker red that makes a better orange, but we're going to find out. It doesn't look very different. That's so funny. Gonna need more yellow. Okay, how does that look? A little better. That is weird how close those are, isn't it? Let's try this brush. And let's take this and see what it looks like next to the other one. Oh, I just put it in the wrong pile. That's funny. Contaminated. Contaminated. Now, I think I have it thicker, but I think it's also a little different. I'm really surprised at that, about how close they are. But if this had worked according sort of to how I expected it to, I would have said that you should use the warm yellow, the dark yellow, which we did use, and the kind of more fire engine red, this one, okay? I would use that to make oranges. But if I were making red violet, I would use the deep rose, all right? And I'm gonna make all of these swatches. I'm gonna make all these swatches in another video, and then I'm gonna show you even how to cut them out. I'm gonna show you the whole thing at the risk of being slightly boring, because we can't be together. So I think we have to do it this way, or I've decided we're going to. It's a little bit thin. Now, if you get one that's really thin and kind of blah, you can come back over it later with another coat. See that hair in there? Probably not. Now, do I like that color? I wonder if that's too orange. That's like orange. That's not near yellow enough. So that isn't going to do, but that's all right. I could probably use that for my orange. And I'll make another color that is more yellow and less orange for my yellow orange, right? You got me there, sort of? Let's try it. Let's put in more in here. Let's put more yellow, way more yellow. Yellow is another color you might run out of, just like white. Okay. Well, that's going to be like a closer thing. The idea is that if this is orange and that is yellow, yellow orange should be halfway in between. That doesn't mean, unfortunately, it should mean, but it doesn't mean that you can use half, like weigh it out and have exactly half of the one and get the right color. It just doesn't do that. And see, that's going to be too close to yellow. So I want to add a little more red in there, just a little more. I'm really worried I'm just going to end up with orange again here. Let's see. Closer. That is closer. Yeah, that's a lot closer. So you see what I'm trying to go for here? I want something that is halfway between that thing and that thing. And it could be that after I've made some of these colors, I say, ooh, I don't think that one is halfway in between. And I have to take another shot at it. And that's okay. That is totally to be expected. Because see, maybe it's just a little too yellow. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one, let it dry, and decide when I'm assembling it. For right now, I'm going to turn this off and put out some more colors and give you kind of a part 2 on making the color wheel. Okay? That's all.